ask a few questions along those lines. We want to look at the promise. Okay, well, the topic actually is the building Ghana's future, the promise and path of the Ghana infrastructure plan, and it's actually a bold and long-term blueprint that actually lays out our hopes to transform our transport system and other parts of our economy. But beyond a big vision, what does this plan really mean for jobs, for entrepreneurs, and for everyday Ghanaians? And how do we even fund it, implement it, and also make sure it delivers lasting results? And I am joined by a civil engineer. He is a CEO of AWAC Company Limited, and he's a construction expert as well. His name is Wisdom Kwabla Atakpa, and he's here to help me have this conversation this morning. We're going to explore the promise, the challenges, and the path to building Ghana's future through the Ghana Infrastructure Plan. Wisdom, good morning. You're welcome to the Business Breakfast on Z.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
I hope you're doing well, sir.
I'm doing well, thank you, sir.
All right, great to have you. So let's get into our conversation this morning. Now, just to set the tone for those who may not be familiar, what exactly is the Ghana Infrastructure Plan, and what vision does it actually seek to achieve? If you can help us with that.
Okay, first of all, I want to say a big shout out to your listeners this morning, and I want to say thank you for the opportunity to reach out to your listeners this morning. The Ghana Infrastructure Plan, or the GIP, is basically a program a program by the government to outline certain plans and certain principles, certain strategies to put in place to drive the infrastructure growth of the economy.
But how does it differ from previous national infrastructure initiatives we've seen?
This very one is a more detailed, and it has a lot of action plans as compared to the previous ones that we do have. Because I would say this one is actually carefully tailored. They are picking out, from what I can see, you could see they've learned some few mistakes from the past one, and then they've done the correction. So going forward, this very one, the GIP, if it is really implemented, we should see a lot of growth and sustainability in the infrastructure sector.
I see. But was there a particular turning point that made this particular plan necessary?
Yes, because I would say yes, because a lot of, you see, in Ghana, I wouldn't say the laws are not existing or the structures are not in place, but most of the time it comes to the enforcement, the evaluation, then the follow-ups, you see. So that is where we fall a little bit short most of the times. So that is why I said earlier on, this particular one is more actionable. The GIP is more actionable. It's more goal-oriented. And if carefully followed, we should see a lot of growth going forward.
I see. So does it mean that the previous ones, the previous infrastructure initiatives, didn't have or they weren't goal-oriented?
They were all goal-oriented. They were that, but as I said earlier on, it is the enforcement of the existing laws and making sure the proper evaluations are being done. That was what failed us in the past. But with this very one going forward, with all the systems being put in place, I should encourage listeners and the whole listening public that there's going to be a lot of growth with this particular plan as compared to the past.
I see, but why was it important for us to develop a long-term infrastructure plan like this?
Okay. You could see, I was trying to talk about, it is not like it is a new initiative totally.
Yeah.
But I can give you some few scenarios for you to really understand what we are coming to talk about today. There's the need for feasibility studies. One of the the need for feasibility studies. In the past, I will not say feasibility studies were not being done; they were being done. But I would say I don't know whether where we failed was following up on some of the the key point indicators that were, outlined during those feasibility studies that were conducted. I can give you a distance. You see, before projects are being done, before large infrastructure funds are supposed to be committed, there's the need for feasibility studies, and then there's the need for stakeholder engagement for those that are going to benefit directly and indirectly from the project. There's the need for all those to be taken into consideration. But most of the times, I don't know whether it is the implementation of those key point indicators that fail us at the end of the day. I can give you two examples. The Cape Coast sugarcane factory, for instance, has been constructed since 2016, 2017, but it has not been operating to its full capacity till now. One of the problems cited is lack of raw material, which is the sugarcane, to feed the factory. And it makes me wonder that before the factory was being built, were provisions not made for these farms to be well equipped so that they will be there all the time to provide raw materials for the factory. Or even if you are not going to get all the raw materials produced locally, were there not feasibility plans put in place for these raw materials to be available 24/7 for the factory to fully function? And a huge taxpayers' money committed, and the factory is lying there, not benefiting the community in terms of job provision and all that. Those things. The factory is just lying there. And then another example is the whole airport, which was constructed also to serve as transportation, expansion of transportation to boost tourism and other trade and commerce in the Volta region. But as I'm talking to you now, that airport too is not functioning to its full capacity because most of the domestic airlines have quitted going there because of low patronage, which boils down to the other economic indicators within the stakeholder environment that were ignored before the airport has been constructed. So feasibility studies is one of the key things we should look at, a key priority we should look at going forward. And then also we should be looking at ensuring durable and quality materials being used for our projects so that a well-built project should be able to last you not less than 50 years before major renovations should be done. So shoddy work should be avoided. There must be following up to make sure that quality materials are used and the proper laid down rules and regulations for building should be followed so that these buildings can last over a long period of time for the maximum benefit for the reasons why they were being constructed.
I see. Let me double click on the first problem you talk about, which has got to do with the lack of raw materials. How are we ensuring that, or does this particular plan make any, create any room to ensure that we don't have to go and come back to that particular situation again? In other words, how are we making sure that this problem doesn't repeat itself again?
Thank you. Okay, so that is what I said earlier on feasibility studies and stakeholder engagement. So when these things are done properly, and I think all these problems will be prevented in the future. Because if you are going to build a factory, the factory is going to be totally relying on a particular kind of raw material. I think the first point before even doing the main infrastructure itself is the farming or the provision of the raw material, trying to do the tender, the bidding and securing of the raw material, making sure that the suppliers are on board so that once the factory is ready, the supply is done. You see, so all these things should be taken care of, and then properly follow up should be done because you'll be surprised the people that are being engaged or employed to make sure this system works. they are the ones that fail us most of the time. The systems are there, the policies are there, the structures are there, but those that are employed or those that are being put in charge to make sure these structures work, they fail us at the end of the day. So the GIP is actually tailor-made this time around to take care of all these inefficiencies to make sure there's proper success going forward.
I see, right. But do you think it reflects a clear national vision or maybe more of a technical roadmap?
Well, it's a national vision going forward because one of the major problems that Ghana is also facing is that we are always having projects that are being made with, based on political campaign promises. So some of the projects become quite elephant at the end of the day, and it is the taxpayers' money. So this GIP is more or less like a blueprint. It's more or less like a blueprint that any other political party coming into power, no matter your campaign promises, you must work within this framework so that the development will be spread within the country, so that there will be no vast gap between the urban and the rural setups and all these problems that are associated with it. Yes.
But so how are we ensuring that when power changes hands, we'll still see? Because, this started in 2018. We all saw it launched beautifully. But then, along the line, I think somewhere after 2020 or so, nothing has been done about it since then till now. How are we ensuring? Are we getting a legislation for that or something?
Yes, all those things are in the pipeline. Trying to get Parliament involved to get an act sent to Parliament to make sure all these things become laws or bylaws for the local assemblies to enforce. That is what I'm saying. That going forward, the country is trying to develop a blueprint through this GIP, a blueprint that will be enforceable with any political party that comes to power, because the growth and sustainability of the country in terms of infrastructure and housing shouldn't be a political talk or an emotion that is being exhibited by a political party, because at the end of the day, it is a taxpayer's money that is involved. So when we have this blueprint, or we have all these laid down structures or policies in place, whether it is the NDC, whether it is the NPP, whether it is any other political party that will come to power, the interest of the average Ghanaian will be considered, and you will see that when these policies are being implemented, when these structures and laid down procedures are being followed, you will see that there will be proper success going forward.
Okay. Right. So now we understand the what and the why. Let's talk about the promise. What Ghana stands to gain if this plan is fully realized. And maybe my first question to you would be that, of course, the plan touches on transport, energy, housing, and digital infrastructure. In your view, which sectors can actually trigger the fastest or maybe most visible national transformation?
In my view, the sectors that can trigger it the fastest one is the transport, and then the energy sector. Transport in terms of rail network, and then the road, improvement on our roads, because traveling by road in Ghana has become a death trap because our roads are not good, and this affects business growth and other things. So I think the first major priority or the sectors that can make this whole plan a success is the transport, and then secondly the energy sector. When we are having all these doomsday and power fluctuations and all those things, it doesn't also help in terms of availability of cheap raw material, because the supplier is going to spend so much on power to produce the raw material. And you know what happens? It is going to be pushed down to the end user or the average Ghanaian to buy materials expensive. And the GIP is also focusing more on dealing with the local contractors and local engineers. So which means that all these people are not going to be buying materials from outside. So when the power is not stable, when power sector is not improved, or the power sector is not assisted or aided, so that they will boost this particular policy and make it a success, then it's going to affect a lot of things when it comes to developing or giving us a sustainable infrastructure development in the country. So I think the energy sector and the transport sector are the key things that can drive this particular policy to success.
Are there some specific projects under the GIP that excites you the most in those two areas you've mentioned?
So yes, you could see that in recent times, the railway network has been improved. And then there are plans in place to add more rail lines so that it will connect the north to the south. Then it can also connect, in the past, we have railway network connecting most of the gold mining areas, the cocoa production areas to the main city, which were helping, bringing those raw materials from all those places to the city. So there are plans in place to improve on rail network. And then the road construction, recently the government also launched, the NDC government has launched the Big Push project, which is also to support this whole GIP idea to improve the road network in the country. So I think there are plans in place to make sure that in the near future, the road network will be improved, which will help. And then the railway network, they are going to add more to them. And then you see that there are also other plans in place to train the local contractors to be well equipped and have the expertise to be able to manage the modern infrastructure need of the average Ghanaian. So going forward, this policy will bring a lot of benefits to the Ghanaian.
I see. Now, how do you see the GIP contributing to job creation, to entrepreneurship and local business growth? And I ask that because, you also mentioned the fact that local, you talk about the local contractors and all of that. I think that is one of the concerns that has been raised in the past, that oftentimes when we see certain projects like this, we tend to still rely on foreigners, to come and help us build and all of that. I want us to look at it locally. How do you see the GIP contributing to job creation here in Ghana?
Okay. I would say the engagement of the local engineers, the contractors, and the artisans in every phase of the project is very important. And as I was saying earlier on, that doesn't mean that paying attention to the knowledge and the skill set of these people is not important. That is what I said earlier on. Government investing in training and making sure that the local contractors, the engineers, all the artisans are equipped with the requisite skills so that they can be able to handle projects of such magnitudes. Because the foreign engineers and the foreign contractors, it is the knowledge gap that is the difference between them and the local people. But when these local people are also equipped with training, adequate training, and other stuff, you can see that all this production will be done in Ghana, and then more jobs will be created in all these sectors, and there will not be the need to bring in foreign contractors to come and undertake all these projects for us.
So apart from knowledge, which other problems do you see with the local contractors?
Apart from knowledge, sometimes it boils down to the project delivery. The project delivery when we are dealing with the foreign contractors and then the local contractors, they come to the project delivery. And apart from knowledge, we have other problems in terms of machinery, the machines, the availability of machines and equipment for the fast delivery of the project. Because of the biggest challenge the local contractor faces is funding. You understand? So funding to acquire all these machines and equipment for the fast delivery of the project as compared to the the foreign contractors. That has a very huge gap. So government must also step in. I mean, give some incentives, free shipments for some of these equipment that will come into the country. The local contractors should not be taxed when clearing all these things from the port as a form of incentive, so that all these machines will be available at a lower cost for the local contractor, so that they can also deliver the project on time. Yes.
Which is very, very important. I know in construction, timelines are very important.
Oh, yes.
All right. So, I was asking how you see that contributing to job creation, largely entrepreneurship and local business. I know it's not just about the contractors. Can you paint a picture of what kind of jobs will be created?
Okay. So with the infrastructure, apart from the contractors who are directly involved with the building and the execution of the project, other jobs will also be created along. That is the suppliers. If you are looking at within the local market, then that means the suppliers will be having jobs, because we will be buying the raw materials locally. So all these factories will also have jobs, and they'll be employing more hands to be able to meet up with the demand of the contractors. And then apart from that, when these facilities are constructed, there's a need for maintenance culture. So what happens is that some of these experts will be employed to make sure that the property stands the test of time. The cleaners, those technicians that will be handling the maintenance and all those things. All these people will get jobs to do. And even sometimes when projects are going on in certain locality and vicinity, it brings jobs directly and indirectly to the locality. Hospitality also improves most of the times when we are having such huge projects in the locality. Hospitality improves because the people will now be looking for accommodation, and the hotels will get jobs, and then other landlords will be having tenants occupying their properties, and all these Airbnb facilities will all be taken because the contractors and their workers need a place to stay in order to develop these properties. So indirectly, it creates jobs for the local market.
I see. So how can young engineers and maybe artisans position themselves to be able to benefit from these projects? How can they position themselves? Now you're telling us that there's holds an enormous opportunity for young people, for people that are, the locals, right? How can they position themselves really to benefit from these projects?
Okay, for the local young engineer, or let's say the artisans, it's a point of certification for you to be properly positioned to partake in all this development. So it's an issue of certification. So if you are a young artisan, you need to at least have your NDTI. You must have your NDTI, or you must register with some of these technical institutions to be able to go through some formal training to acquire certificates. All these things prove that you are capable with the job, because you may have the experience, but if you have certificates to support it, then it positions you to be able to partake in these huge projects that are coming up. So the young engineer must be certified, and then at the same time, experience is needed. One of the big challenges of these young engineers, they are money conscious. They don't look at the experience. Sometimes go to follow some of the experienced engineers, follow them, learn on the job, know what is going on, so that you will also be well equipped and well prepared when the chance comes for you. But most of them, they are all money conscious, and they don't want to learn. They don't want to gain the experience. So I think positioning themselves is very important by under training. Understanding somebody, getting their certificates in place, registering with the necessary departments and institutions, so that they will be ready and prepared for the opportunity when it
Okay, just hold on briefly. Let me announce the phone lines just in case somebody wants to join the conversation. If you're tuned in, this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nichwebi Hammond. And this morning we're talking about the Ghana Infrastructure Plan and the promise it holds and what needs to be done appropriately. Sorry. If you want to join the conversation, please feel free to send me a WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019, and I'll read your messages for you. You can as well call me on 03039566641, 03039566641. You can you can call us and share your thoughts with us this morning. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. You may want to drop a text or a comment under any of the posts, and I'll read them for you as well. My guest is Wisdom Kobla Atakpa. He's the CEO of Awa Company Limited, and he's also a construction expert, and he's helping me have this conversation this morning. Wisdom, let's continue the conversation now. One of the very important things, of course, when it comes to this thing, is that usually infrastructure is concentrated in cities. You know, how can the GIP ensure rural communities also benefit?
Okay. I said it earlier on about feasibility study and stakeholder engagement. So there's a need for more feasibility studies, and then most of these communities should be engaged. So if you look at it from this angle, you could say that most of the rural areas are more or less raw material based sectors. They do the production and the farming of the raw materials and other stuff, and then the cities have the factories and the plants to process these raw materials for either for export or local consumption. So the improvement of the infrastructure in terms of roads, good roads, in terms of provision of power, and making it available at a cheaper cost to some of these communities. Because somebody operating in, let's say somebody operating in Oti region, which is very far away from the main city, the capital city, Accra, must be having certain incentives in terms of reducing pricing and other things as compared to somebody operating in Accra. So this will help the person to be able to also operate in full capacity and do more employment, employ more hands, and then be able to supply the bigger factories in the city all the time. You see, I was fighting the Cape Coast sugarcane factory issue earlier on about the lack of raw material for the factory to operate. You could see that that community is a farming community, and they do a lot of sugarcane farming. Sometimes it baffles me how they are not able to produce the sugarcane up to the capacity that the factory needs. So it boils down to a lot of issues as well. When you engage all these rural folks, they will let you know issues of farming, the need for some of these agrochemical available to them, for them to be able to farm and be able to make the raw materials available all the time. Like farming has become very expensive, and then sometimes when they do the farming too, the bad road network exporting the farm produce to the main cities where the larger market is existing for them to be able to sell, it becomes an issue. So the GIP is actually coming in place to address all these concerns, bridging the gap between the rural communities and the urban cities by provision of good roads, rail networks, and other stuff, making energy available to them at a cheaper rate, 24/7 energy at a cheaper rate, and then making credit facilities available. I mean, by establishing small credit institutions like microfinance and other stuff, microfinance and other stuff, to enable these farmers have access to credit to be able to produce at full capacity. So all these things will discourage people from moving from the rural areas coming to the urban city to hustle, because the lands are available, huge acres of lands are available in the rural areas, whereby we can have a lot of production going on to feed the factories. Then this will help a lot. You see, I traveled to India somewhere in July this year, and I'm surprised. And I'm surprised that from Delhi, which is the capital city, to Agra, which is also an tourism hub of India, the distance is about 5 hours drive. But the road network from Delhi to that place, they are having 4 lanes on each side. 4 lanes on each side. And we were driving at top speed from Delhi right to Agra. And Agra is a farming hub for India.
I see.
They take care of all the animal skin for the leather factories in Delhi. And you know, India is a fabric country. So most of the cotton farming and other stuff are going on in Agra. But the road network is 4 lanes on each side. But if you come to Ghana, even from Accra to Kumasi, you don't even have to carriage from Accra to Kumasi for even the normal human moving up and down. So all these things is what GIFT is coming to address, improving on road networks and other things to bridge the gap between the rural communities and the urban sector.
But are there plans really for regional balance in any way built into the plan?
Yes. So what happened is that you could see that lately the digitalization of the economy is leaning much. It's also part of the GIP is also looking at digitalizing the economy and improving on the digital platform of the economy. So they are now building it. You could see that they are now building a lot of ICT centers in the rural communities. You understand? They are building a lot of ICT centers in the rural communities to get them trained and all these new technological improvements, like the AI, for instance, that has come to stay. When the rural folks are also being trained on how to use the AI to do a lot of things. Even you can use AI to improve on your farming, taking stocks of your agrochemicals that you are going to use to start your farm, and how you can even take stock of your harvest and how you pay your laborers and all those things. When they are trained and well equipped, you could see that the big congestion in the urban sector will reduce, and there will be no need traveling to the cities to be able to have a feel of all these technological advancements that is available now. Because even right in your village, you should be able to enjoy all these facilities. Internet is available for you. The internet is very strong. The data connection is very strong in the rural area, just as it is in the city. So when all these things are in place, you could see that the decongestion of the city is very possible, because what I can achieve while staying in the rural area, I can do the same thing even when I move to Accra. So I don't see the reason why I should leave the village and come to Accra, because I can be more beneficial. I can do a lot of things that will benefit me in the village than moving to Accra. So all these things are key areas that the GIP is addressing.
Right. Actually, I was going to ask you about rural urban migration, but I think you've touched on that, and so very important. So that's a promise. We're seeing we're going to see a more connected and prosperous Ghana. But of course, dreams meet reality in implementation. So we have to let's talk about the implementation now. Now, from your engineering perspective, what do you think are the major challenges that we could face in implementing such a large-scale plan?
Okay, some of the challenges, as during our discussion, I pointed out on some key of them, is the poor maintenance culture of the country, the poor maintenance culture of the country. Because some of the properties or some of the facilities that are being constructed, from the beginning, they are functional. They are functioning very well. Everything is in place. But later on, the policies or the structures put in place for maintaining these facilities are nothing good to write home about. The last time our president was complaining about the World Trade Center, how a lot of things are not functioning over there.
You mean the World Trade Center here in Accra?
Yes.
Okay.
While a lot of things are not functioning over there because of poor maintenance culture. So how can a building of such magnitude be facing such challenge? You see, so using of poor materials, which make the buildings to deteriorate in no time, is also an issue. And then technical inefficiencies is also an issue. So that is what I said earlier on, that the GIP is a more actionable policy that has taken into consideration some of these loopholes, so that there will be a watchdog, let me say literally a watchdog or a watchman, to make sure that these policies are carefully taken into consideration to prevent some of these mistakes of the past. Yes. So the poor maintenance culture is a big challenge. So if well addressed, I can assure you that going forward, we could have facilities or properties lasting for centuries, just as we have in the Western world.
We're going to talk about, you're going to share lessons from previous projects that have struggled, but the maintenance culture, I think, is just one of them. You earlier on mentioned the political will as well, which is also one angle. Do you think we can face, or we're likely to face, some logistical challenges as well?
Not if this GIP is implemented, I don't think we will have such a problem, because now there is a plan underway to build a port in Keta, a port in Keta, and then there's a plan to improve on the Tema port as well. So when all these things are done, you could see that, I said it earlier on, that the local contractors, you have certain incentives to be able to bring in logistics, like in terms of machinery and other things into the country. That you have incentives, tax incentives that will help them to do this thing at a very low cost. So when we have our facilities, or we have our infrastructure being improved, like the port, the railway, and other things being improved, which will now, facilitate easy transport to and fro, machinery, human beings, and workers up and down, I don't think we'll be falling short in terms of logistics and other things again. No, I don't think so. Because sometimes some of these facilities, you have a challenge that you need to buy or you need to procure a particular material, and then you will be surprised that you will not be having it with a local supplier in the country, and this thing must be procured from outside the country, and take days for it to come into the country for the problem to be fixed. Sometimes the list within some of these our commercial buildings, the list may not be functioning well, and you'll be surprised that buying some of the parts to fix the list, you will not get it to the local market, so you need to send it outside the country for it to come, and then it takes days. So what it means is that the inconvenience that will be created as a result of that malfunctioning of the list within that period, if it's going to take a week or 2 or 3 for this material to be procured, then that means the people that are using that facility will not be using that list for a period of time. So when all these things I'm talking about, the ports, the railways, all those things are improved, and then energy sector is improved, and then most factories are producing at a lower rate and all those things, I don't think logistics will be a problem for the infrastructure sector in the country. Yes.
Right. Well, at the ports, we know that our ports still suffer very heavy congestion. Long vessel turnaround times, even outdated cargo handling equipment. And that is why I think that could be a problem. But once we are able to solve them, like you said, hopefully we can deal with that. Now, I wanted to ask you what lessons we can learn from the past. From previous infrastructure projects that have actually struggled. Do you have any specific ones you can talk about?
Yes. I think I made reference to the Cape Coast and the whole airport, being one of the facilities that was constructed, and then we are facing certain few challenges. Even though the whole airport is well maintained and well managed, creates money because nothing is coming in, but they are spending money to maintain it. And then the Cape Coast one that I said earlier on is also struggling for raw material. And then what happens is that since the factory is not performing or is not operating, then there will be wear and tear with the machines and other things. So when the raw materials are now in place, there should be servicing, there should be changing of certain items for the factory to operate fully, with full capacity. So I think these lessons, spending money all the time, developing facilities that become quite elephant, or at the end of the day, developing facilities that are not in full operation. And at the end of the day, they put more pressure on the country's pairs. And I think going forward, feasibility studies, as I said earlier on, should be done. Then a lot of monitoring and evaluation of this project should also be done. Most of the officers shouldn't sit in their offices and take reports, any kind of report from their field workers, then put it down on into their books as the facts that are existing on the ground. But they should also make it a point to make sure they follow up and make sure what is being done follows strict policies. And then most of the engineers, the contractors are following the such policies that are laid down, so that going forward, all these mistakes that were done in the past can be prevented. Yes.
Okay, right. Permit me to take you back a bit. When you were talking about the maintenance culture, I mean, it's a big problem. That's actually a very big problem. I want to know, do you think that it should be part of the design and funding phase, or, I mean, and not just an afterthought? Because how can we ensure that projects under the GIP remain functional and sustainable? Because when you talked about it, it was just, I mean, highlighting the problem. But how do we provide solutions towards that? Do you think that it should be part of the design, yes, and funding phase?
Yes, it should be part of the design and funding phase, because most of the problem that we have is just the funding for the main project itself. So once the project is done, especially projects that don't turn out, that are not commercial, that don't turn out money on its own. Let's say the government offices, the government bungalows, and all those things that are not generating money on its own, they tend to suffer from this maintenance issue. So I think maintenance culture should be part of the design and the funding phase, so that after the whole building, whether that particular aspect will be outsourced to another facility management company to take care of the place, it should all be included during the funding phase and the design phase of the whole project. Because the contractor will finish building the project, and then we'll hand it over, and that is the end of his work.
Yeah.
So it is only when there is a major infrastructure defect that the contractor is called back to come and attend to it. But then maintaining the place, making sure the fittings are working, making sure other small stuff are working within the facility. I think once it is part of the initial stage, it can be outsourced, because we have a lot of facility management companies in the country that are helping most of these private Airbnb properties to function very well.
Yeah.
So once it is included at the initial stage, when the contractor is done and has handed over, the property can now be handed over to some of these property facility management companies to take it from there. And then we'll see that our properties will be well maintained, and we'll have a longer lifespan than what we used to experience in the past.
Absolutely. Right. But in maintenance is not just for the, say, for instance, the workers, like you talk about it. I know that as individuals, we also at the center of the maintenance culture. How do you think individuals and maybe local communities can be involved in maintaining the infrastructure?
Okay, so this particular one boils down to education. Education, and then it's also an issue of attitude. So when enough education is done, you see, sometimes when some of these facilities are constructed and then handed over to, especially government offices, when they are constructed and handed over for usage, they don't allow, there's no occasion whereby the contractors are invited to educate certain key departmental heads on some of the key functionalities of the building, so that they will have a few knowledge about one or two things of how they can use or use the place to its full capacity. So they lack certain first step approach to certain projects, certain problems that may arise while they are using the place. So education should be one of it. And then secondly, when it is a factory that is being situated within a neighborhood, then the local community must also be educated so that they will be sensitized what you are supposed to do around the project area and what you are not supposed to do around the project area. Some of these things must also be taken into consideration. You see, so during the construction of the place, a lot of education must go on. A lot of stakeholder engagement must go on. So when the project is fully completed, the people living in the neighborhood must be aware of what to do, what not to do. And then the people using the facility itself must also be educated to know what to do and what not to do, so that the project will be able to perform to its full capacity and give them the benefits that they want.
That's us right. Okay, 46 minutes after 9, so we have like just about 40 minutes to go, and this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond. And this morning we're talking about the Ghana Infrastructure Plan and the promise that it holds, and also the part of that. And my guest is Wisdom Kwabla Atakpa, and he is the CEO of Awak Company Limited. He's also a construction expert, and he is helping us have this conversation this morning. I'd love to hear from you. If you're listening to us this morning and you want to join the conversation, please feel free to send me a WhatsApp on 054432 1019 054432 1019, and I'll read your message for you. Also, you can call us on 03039 56641 03039 56641, and then I give you the opportunity to speak to us this morning. And also, we're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH, and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. You may want to drop a message, a comment, and then I'll read that for you as well. So I think that all of the things we've said so far, Wisdom, all of the things we've said so far sounds very great, but of course, none of that will move without money and also good governance. Let's talk about that briefly. Now, funding is always the elephant in the room. How do you think we can realistically finance this infrastructure plan beyond government budgets and also foreign loans? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to run into more debts as a country. So how do we do that?
Oh, okay. I think government policies and some of these government policies and then ensuring transparency in the procurement procedure, and also putting in place structures and incentives to encourage the investors outside. I think that is one of the first points. Then also,
can you break that down a bit? Can you throw some more light on that?
Transparency in terms of procurement, and then in terms of the bidding process. Procurement, the bidding process, and then how the whole policies are being enforced. Transparency in all of this will encourage foreign investors to come aboard. So one of the major headaches for the investors outside is the transparency issues that we have here. So they are always very scared coming on board to invest. I was in India this year around July for an investment forum, and I was looking for investors to partner me to develop a 500 home, 500 home to ease the housing deficit in the Volta region. But I faced a lot of hurdles trying to convince them to come and invest. And then some of the issues they pointed out is an issue of transparency, because once the person is an expatriate coming in, the issue of trust, the issue of transparency, the issue of making the process very smooth, the issue of unnecessary bureaucracy that you need to go through a lot of people before projects are approved and all those things.
Yeah.
All these things discourages them a lot.
And I don't even think it's just the expatriate. I think it's also local investors themselves don't trust the system that much. They don't have enough confidence.
We go through that as well. The local investors to the banks, all those things, they go through the same thing as well. So when there's transparency in the system, I think it will also help. And then on the other hand too, we going forward, the GIP going forward is also looking at what we call the PPP project, public-private partnership, to develop some of the facilities, so which will not put a strain on the government coffers. So when private people are given the opportunity to develop certain facilities, operate it for a while and hand it over back to the government, then you could see that all this reduce the expenditure of the government, and then making the government to focus on other key important areas as well, like the health sector, the education sector, so that they can improve. Then they leave the infrastructure sector for private partnership. Yes. So these are some of the things I think when they put it in place, transparency, and then when the government engage private in partnership as well, I think it will go a long way to make this particular GIP project a success.
But are there some successful, maybe African models that we can learn from that you know about?
Yes. The one with Rwanda, for instance. I was in Rwanda last year, and you could see that they are doing very well. And what they are doing is more of a socially minded kind of thing. The government is the one in charge of most of the things, trying to improve on housing, trying to improve on the road and other stuff. But as I said earlier on, our country may not have that financial muscle to be able to take on everything themselves as it stands now. So the need for private partnership is very key. So when you go to South Africa, for instance, you will see that a lot of private investors are in South Africa helping to develop South Africa, making it a tourism hub as you see today. And even if you go out of Africa, you go to Dubai, the UAE. Dubai in the early 1950s used to just be a small nation producing oil, but now it has become a tourism hub because of a lot of private partnerships helping the nation to develop all the infrastructure. So even if you travel to Dubai for just your holiday, you will meet a lot of people trying to propose all kind of investment ideas.
Right.
You could own a little apartment over there at this fee, and then they'll be renting it out, and they'll be bringing you money and all those things. So I think the GIP is in the right direction, trying to engage the private people coming on board to develop such a beautiful monument, operate it for a period of time, and hand it over back to the government. So I think in the near future, we should see a lot of improvement in the infrastructure sector in the country with this GIP framework.
Okay, I would have loved to talk a bit about the PPP, but because of our time, let's touch on some other things and then we can go. Now, transparency and accountability, you talk about it. Very, very important. I mean, they are very key to public trust. What mechanisms can actually ensure that projects are implemented without corruption, which is like the biggest problem we face, corruption and waste, how do we ensure that these projects are actually implemented without these two things?
Okay. It also boils down to the bidding process. The bidding process is where most of the problems are generated. So when the bidding process becomes a little bit cumbersome, then the whole cost is shifted down to the project itself, and then quality is not being enforced, and timely delivery is not being enforced. So all these things are the main causes of the corruption and all those things in the infrastructure sector. So I think right from the bidding, it should be fair. It should be fair bidding process, and then contractors should also. One of the big challenges too is that you see that somebody going in to win a bid for a contract, but is not having one single knowledge about the project that he's going to undertake.
Yeah.
You see, so the whole bidding process is not fair. They should stop giving out contracts to political loyalists, and then they should stop giving contracts to people based on political campaign support, and this person has been a founder of the party, so they are giving a contract to the person. The person should at least have a knowledge of what he or she is going to do. So at the end of the day, there's value. Value is given at the end of the day. So they're giving you a 6-unit classroom block to build. You should be able to have experience in building. So at the end of the day, you are making sure that project is being done, and then ensuring that the end user, which is going to be the student, will be living in a safe and sound environment, enjoying that project. So I think, long story short, I think the bidding process should be free and fair. Then the contract should be awarded to people who have the requisite knowledge in the project that they are going to do. The people who have the knowledge and background in them, the contract should be given to them. They should stop giving out contracts to people based on political promise and political campaign funding and all those things. I think once these things are done, it will go a long way to help, because if I don't have any knowledge of the contract that I'm going to undertake, that is where I'll be trying to pay kickback to those who are going to do the monitoring and evaluation to prevent them from insisting on certain policies that may harm the project for me at the end of the day. So you try to bribe their way through, you have to pay them. Even sometimes they try to prevent them from coming to the site to do inspection and all those things, sending them fat envelopes and all those things. At the end of the day, the project suffers.
Yeah.
So when we take these things into consideration, I think the corruption will be reduced. Maybe not totally, but it will be reduced to the barest minimum when it comes to the GIP implementation.
Right. I also think that, you talk about just the bidding part, and also the knowledge of those who are bidding. I think that is just like one small part of the whole thing. There are several aspects of the whole corruption thing when it comes to projects here in this country. And because of our time, we might not be able to go into the specifics. But do you think that we should actually have access to real-time project data, and also maybe or project reports, really? Do you think we should have that?
Those structures are there. It is not as if they are non-existent. They are there. That is what I'm saying, that kickbacks are given to the people who are supposed to enforce assistance, follow up on this data, receive this data, process and follow up, and make sure that the inconsistencies are being corrected. These people are being given some kickback to let them to relax or not even perform their role at all. You see?
Yeah.
So it is not as if this data is not being made available. It's not as if there are not special people supposed to demand for these data, process them, and make sure the right things are being done. So it is a problem that must be tackled from the root cause, so that at the end of the day, the system will be allowed to flow easily. So when the project is going on, real-time data should be available. They should create the contractor should create a portal on their project platform, so that if it is a local assembly that is giving out the project to you, they can be following up with every day update of the project that is going on. You should develop a portal that will be updating videos, pictures, documents, and other risks that you are also facing on it. Like whatever that is happening on the project is there for the person to go and assess without calling you, chasing you for all this data. It is there for the person to assess. So going forward, these things, they are there. It is not as if all these things that we are talking about, I always say that our leaders travel out more than us. They go to all the developed countries to see a lot of things themselves. But sometimes it baffles me what is really preventing the success operation of some of these policies in our country. So it all begins from the beginning. It all starts from the beginning, the bidding process, and the people that are put in charge is making sure these things are done properly. So once they are sensitized, once they are educated, once they are cautioned, once they make them understand the need for leaving certain legacies behind for our young generation to come and enjoy, I think these things will be taken care of going forward.
All right, Mr. Wisdom Kwabla Atakpa, I think we can wrap up now. Maybe your final words, and I'd prefer that you share that word with maybe young engineers and even policymakers who will shape Ghana's next infrastructure chapter. What do you have to say to them?
Okay, my main advice is that they should seek knowledge than the economic gain. They should seek knowledge than the economic gain. They should broaden their knowledge base, try to catch up with the Western world to know what is really going on out there, the modern trend of building, and then they should learn. So that, because nowadays a lot of things are going on, building to support the green environment. So during construction, we should put a lot of things in place to make sure that the dust that we may produce during the construction should affect the external environment, like putting in all these regulations, making sure things are being done. It comes with a lot of knowledge base. So they should seek knowledge. They should learn. They should leave behind their archaic knowledge that they have also learned from their mentors, from their schools. They should leave it behind. And then also the government should also try as much as possible to make available workshops, seminars that to train the local engineers, the local contractors, seminars that will train us, make us to be having the requisite knowledge and be prepared to face some of these big infrastructures that are going on. We can be able to match up with the Western world.
Right. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I'm really grateful, and thanks so much for sharing your insights with us this morning.
You're welcome, sir.
All right.
Okay. I'm much grateful for the opportunity to.
You're most welcome. All right. Please do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so that was Mr. Wisdom Kwabla Atakpa. He is the CEO of AWAC Company Limited, and he's a construction expert, and he shared his thoughts with us this morning on the Ghana infrastructure plan. And we've had a great conversation talking about challenges, opportunities that there are for us as a country, and how we can even implement this whole thing without corruption and all of that. And it's been a very great conversation. He shared very, very powerful insights, and it's clear that the Ghana infrastructure plan, of course, isn't just about buildings and roads. It's about building the future of our nation. And I hope that today's discussion spark some a renewed sense of purpose and responsibility among all stakeholders, and but more specifically even to our politicians who I mean, when power changes hands, may have to take their decisions to ensure that we continue building and not stop. So yes, I call on all of them to actually make sure that we make this project a reality, because I'm imagining 2047 and how the whole country will be looking like when we are celebrating our 100th independence anniversary. And I think that's it will be nice. It will be nice. So let's wait for that time and let's work towards it. Well, that will be all for today's Business Breakfast on Z.